Welcome to the Hidden Wealth Coins. Imagine a single penny turning your life upside down overnight. These ordinary-looking wheat pennies hide extraordinary secrets forged by history, rarity, and pure chance. Forgotten in drawers and pockets, some became silent treasures worth millions today. One wrong move can destroy a fortune, one careful decision can change everything. If you own one, don't blink, don't spend, don't ignore. Your destiny may already be in your hands right now, forever today. First up, the 1957 wheat penny may look like an ordinary 1-cent coin, small, brown, and easily ignored, but history often hides its greatest secrets inside the most common objects. Millions of Americans once carried this coin in their pockets without any idea that some examples would later become symbols of unimaginable wealth. This was a time when the wheat penny was reaching the final years of its legendary design, and the United States was quietly transitioning toward a new era. The year 1957 sits at a crossroads in American coinage history, where mass production met human imperfection, and it is exactly in that imperfection where extraordinary value was born. While most 1957 pennies are simple copper coins, a tiny number became something far greater due to rare conditions, mint anomalies, and survival stories that defy logic. The wheat penny design itself already carried emotional weight long before 1957 arrived. Introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person. By the late 1950s, this design had witnessed wars, economic collapse, recovery, and global change. Every 1957 wheat penny is a physical witness to that era, struck when America was growing rapidly and the modern world was taking shape. What makes certain 1957 examples extraordinary is not just their age, but the circumstances under which they were created. Some were struck with unusual pressure, others with die errors, and a very small number with characteristics so strange that even experienced collectors stop breathing when they see them. In rare cases, a 1957 wheat penny can exist in what collectors call a near-perfect state, where the surface remains sharp, the color deep and untouched, and the smallest design details still alive decades later. Coins like this are not simply preserved, they are survivors. Imagine a single penny escaping circulation entirely, never scraped by keys, never worn by hands, never dulled by time. When such a coin also carries a rare mint mistake or metal irregularity, its value is no longer measured in cents or even thousands. It enters a realm where private collectors compete fiercely, where a single cent can be treated like a priceless artifact. Some of the most valuable 1957 wheat pennies are not famous because they are hidden. These coins often surface quietly from old jars, forgotten safes, or inherited collections where no one realized what they were holding. The most shocking part is that the difference between an ordinary penny and a life-changing one can be invisible to the untrained eye. A slightly double detail, an off-center strike, an unusually sharp wheat line, or a metal tone that feels wrong can turn a simple coin into something that rewrites a person's future. These are the kinds of discoveries that make people believe in overnight fortune stories. There are stories within the collecting world of individuals who almost spent their rare wheat penny on groceries, parking meters, or candy, only to pause at the last second. That pause changed everything. The 1957 wheat penny has earned a reputation among collectors as a silent millionaire maker, because its rarity does not scream for attention. It whispers. It waits. Many high-value examples were dismissed for years before being recognized, authenticated, and suddenly valued at amounts that sound unreal. When such a coin enters the private market, the numbers discussed are often kept secret, adding to the mystery and legend. What truly separates a potentially million-dollar 1957 wheat penny from an ordinary one is a combination of rarity, condition, and story. Coins that show unusual production traits, especially those created during moments of equipment stress or transition at the mint, are considered historical accidents that can never be repeated. Add exceptional preservation to that accident, and you create something that no amount of money can reproduce. Wealthy collectors do not simply buy coins, they buy moments frozen in metal. The 1957 wheat penny, in its rarest forms, represents the final breath of a legendary design before it disappeared forever. Another reason these coins can reach unimaginable values is emotional demand. The wheat penny is deeply nostalgic, especially for American collectors who grew up seeing them in circulation. When nostalgia meets extreme rarity, logic disappears. Bidding wars begin not because of metal value, but because of desire. A collector who has spent decades searching for the perfect example may be willing to pay almost anything to finally complete a lifelong dream. This emotional factor is why prices can explode far beyond expectations and why selling such a coin without knowledge can destroy a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The phrase "million condition" does not mean every 1957 wheat penny is worth millions, but it does mean that under very specific circumstances, value can rise to astonishing levels. Coins that remain untouched, fully detailed, and historically unique exist in such small numbers that they are treated like treasures rather than currency. Once certified and recognized, they no longer belong to everyday people. They enter elite collections, vaults, and private transactions where public price tags rarely exist. This secrecy fuels rumors, legends, and the belief that a single penny can change a family's destiny forever. The danger is ignorance. Many people still clean old coins, scratch them, or spend them without realizing that even minor damage can erase massive value. A rare wheat penny does not forgive mistakes. One wrong move can turn a potential fortune into pocket change. That is why the advice to never rush, never clean, and never sell cheaply exists within the collecting world. A 1957 wheat penny that looks ordinary today may reveal extraordinary truth under professional examination tomorrow. Historically, 1957 also represents the closing chapter of the wheat penny era. The following year, the design changed, ending nearly 50 years of tradition. Coins from the final years often carry increased interest because they symbolize the end of something iconic. When rarity hides inside a closing chapter, its importance multiplies. The rarest 1957 wheat pennies are not just coins. They are the last echoes of a design that shaped American everyday life for generations. For some people, the idea that a 1-cent coin could hold life-changing power sounds impossible, yet history repeatedly proves otherwise. Wealth does not always arrive in obvious forms. Sometimes it waits silently in a drawer, a jar, or an old envelope, disguised as something worthless. The 1957 wheat penny teaches that lesson better than almost any other coin. It reminds us that patience, knowledge, and respect for history can unlock doors that money alone cannot open. If someone is lucky enough to possess a rare 1957 wheat penny in exceptional condition, rushing to sell it is the greatest mistake they could make. True value reveals itself slowly. Experts must study it, understand it, and confirm what makes it different from millions of others. Only then does its real power emerge. Coins like this do not create wealth in a day, but when they do, the impact feels overnight because the foundation was hidden for decades. In the end, the legend of the 1957 wheat penny is not about fantasy, but about possibility. It is about how ordinary objects can become extraordinary through history, chance, and survival. Whether locked away in a collection or still waiting to be discovered, these rare coins continue to fuel dreams, cautionary tales, and quiet hope. Second up, the 1935 wheat penny is one of those coins that almost dares people to underestimate it. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a worn piece of copper history, a simple 1-cent coin from a distant time. But history has a strange habit of hiding its greatest power in the most ordinary objects. The year 1935 sits in the shadow of the Great Depression, a period when every cent mattered and survival itself was a daily struggle. Coins struck during this time were not just money, they were lifelines. Because of this, most 1935 wheat pennies were heavily used, worn down, and eventually lost. That reality alone makes certain surviving examples incredibly rare, and rarity is the first spark that can turn a penny into a fortune. By 1935, the wheat penny had already become a symbol of American resilience. Introduced decades earlier, it had passed through world-changing events, but the mid-1930s gave it a unique identity. The nation was rebuilding, factories were running again, and hope was slowly returning. The mints were working hard, often under pressure, and that pressure sometimes produced mistakes. Those mistakes were not noticed at the time, because people were focused on feeding families, not inspecting coins. Today, those unnoticed details are exactly what separate a common penny from one that can command life-altering value. What makes certain 1935 wheat pennies so extraordinary is not a single factor, but a rare combination of survival, condition, and uniqueness. Imagine a coin struck in an era when money circulated endlessly, yet somehow avoided decades of damage. No heavy wear, no deep scratches, no corrosion. Now imagine that same coin also carries a subtle irregularity from the minting process, something so small that only trained eyes would recognize its importance. When these elements come together, value can rise beyond logic. At that point, the coin is no longer measured by copper, but by history frozen in time. There are whispers in the coin world about 1935 wheat pennies that surfaced unexpectedly from old family holdings, passed down without knowledge of their significance. These coins sat silently for generations, their power unknown, until someone finally looked closely enough. When such a discovery happens, the emotional shock can be overwhelming. A coin once considered worthless suddenly becomes the center of attention, drawing interest from serious collectors who understand that opportunities like this appear once in a lifetime. The idea that a single cent could rewrite a person's future is not fantasy, it is the result of extreme rarity meeting intense demand. Condition plays a ruthless role in determining value. Most 1935 wheat pennies show heavy signs of use, which is why examples that remain sharp, clean, and untouched are treated almost like miracles. A high-condition coin from this era defies probability. When collectors encounter one, especially with unusual characteristics, the reaction is immediate. These coins are not casually bought or sold. They are studied, protected, and often locked away. In private transactions, numbers are sometimes discussed quietly, without public records, which is why rumors of million-level values continue to surround these rare survivors. Another reason the 1935 wheat penny can reach astonishing worth is emotional scarcity. This coin represents a generation that endured hardship, sacrifice, and uncertainty. Collectors are not only buying a coin, they are buying a story of endurance. When emotion enters the market, logic leaves. Wealthy collectors who already own everything else often chase history instead. They compete for the finest known examples, not because they need them, but because owning them means possessing something no one else can replicate. The danger for ordinary people is not recognizing potential. Many rare wheat pennies were damaged, cleaned, or spent simply because they looked old and dirty. A single careless action can erase enormous value forever. The 1935 wheat penny is especially unforgiving in this way. Its true worth lives in untouched surfaces, natural color, and original character. Altering that history, even slightly, can destroy what makes it powerful. That is why stories of missed fortunes are just as common as stories of discovery. Historically, the 1930s were a turning point for American coinage and for the nation itself. Coins from this era feel heavier with meaning because they were part of daily survival. Every penny bought bread, milk, or hope. The 1935 wheat penny carries that weight. When a coin survives this era in exceptional condition, it becomes more than money. It becomes evidence of restraint, preservation, and chance. That combination is rare, and rarity fuels extraordinary value. The phrase, million condition, is not exaggeration when applied to the most exceptional 1935 wheat pennies. It refers to a level of preservation and uniqueness so uncommon that collectors treat the coin as irreplaceable. At this level, the market is no longer public. Private collectors, investors, and institutions negotiate quietly. Prices are shaped by desire, competition, and prestige, not price guides. This is how a 1-cent coin escapes its humble origins and enters the realm of unimaginable wealth. What makes the story even more powerful is how easily such a coin can still be overlooked today. Many people inherit collections without understanding them. Old jars are emptied, drawers are cleaned, and history is discarded without a second thought. Somewhere among those forgotten pieces, a rare 1935 wheat penny could still exist, waiting for the moment someone chooses curiosity over carelessness. That moment can separate an ordinary day from a life-changing one. The belief that wealth arrives loudly is a myth. Sometimes it arrives quietly, disguised as something worthless. The 1935 wheat penny embodies that truth. Its power does not announce itself. It waits. It tests patience and knowledge. Those who rush lose. Those who respect history win. This is why seasoned collectors always warn against quick decisions and low offers. True value reveals itself only when time, expertise, and restraint come together. If someone holds a 1935 wheat penny that appears different, sharper, or simply wrong compared to others, that feeling should never be ignored. History often speaks softly. Coins like this do not promise fortune to everyone, but when the right conditions exist, they can unlock doors most people never even see. Selling such a coin cheaply is not just a financial loss, it is the destruction of a rare historical survivor. In the end, the legend of the 1935 wheat penny is not about guaranteed riches, but about possibility hidden in history. It teaches that value is not always obvious, and that patience can transform the smallest object into a symbol of extraordinary destiny. Whether resting in a private vault or still waiting to be discovered, the rarest 1935 wheat pennies continue to carry the power to shock, inspire, and change lives overnight, proving that sometimes the smallest cent can hold the greatest future. Third up, the 1953 wheat penny might seem like a humble little coin, just a thin disc of copper barely worth a cent in everyday use, but history has a way of hiding its miracles in the most unassuming places. In the mid-20th century, America was a nation rebuilding itself after war, optimism rising, and everyday objects like coins carried the weight of ordinary life. Many 1953 wheat pennies were spent, lost, and forgotten, but some went beyond survival. A few became rare relics of time, and it is those rare survivors that conceal astonishing power. These pennies can change lives, create legends, and become priceless in ways that defy the ordinary value of currency. In its normal form, a 1953 wheat penny is simply one of millions struck that year, used to buy candy, pay bus fares, or rest cupped in children's hands. But coins have two lives, one in everyday commerce, and another in the endless world of collectors who see meaning in every line, every shine, every tiny imperfection. The real treasure isn't in the common examples, it's in the exceptional ones, those with survival stories so incredible they read like whispered legends among the most passionate coin enthusiasts. These are the pennies that don't just represent value, they embody mystery. Imagine a 1953 wheat penny that has never known wallet friction or the rough touch of time. A coin whose surface remained untouched, whose copper hue remained deep and original, whose details stand sharp as if frozen in the moment it was struck. This isn't just preservation, it's survival against the odds. Most pennies from that era show wear because they passed through countless hands. But a few escaped circulation entirely, maybe lost in a forgotten box, hidden in a family heirloom collection, or accidentally sealed inside an old album. Those rare examples are where the unimaginable begins. But rarity alone isn't enough to turn a 1-cent coin into a fortune. Some coins also carry intriguing irregularities, tiny quirks that occurred when the coin was made. A slight doubling of the date, a misaligned strike, or an unusual surface anomaly that could only have happened in the chaos of the minting press. These are the little mistakes of production that most people never notice but that collectors prize because they mark a coin as one of a kind. When such characteristics align with exceptional condition, the result is astonishing. In the world of serious coin collecting, the positioning of light and shadow across the surface of a coin matters more than you might imagine. When a 1953 wheat penny reflects light in an almost untouched way, when every wheat stalk, every letter, and every tiny ridge still feels alive under magnification, that coin enters a different world entirely. It becomes not just money, but a piece of history, frozen, vibrant, and rare. In this liminal state between history and art, value can escalate exponentially. There are stories, sometimes whispered, sometimes fiercely guarded, of 1953 wheat pennies emerging from obscurity and commanding prices that astound even hardened collectors. These are not urban legends but real events where careful examination revealed extreme rarity. A coin worth literally pennies became an object of pursuit where wealthy collectors offered sums that make ordinary people gasp. A rare coin like this does not just buy wealth, it embodies it. The emotional pull of owning something so rare and beautiful is part of why these coins can fetch such mind-bending values. When collectors talk about a coin, they aren't just discussing metal, they're talking about survival, about bridging decades, about holding a tiny piece of time in their hands. Someone who sees a flawless 1953 wheat penny for the first time often finds it haunting, like a secret message from the past. People pay not just for rarity, but for that connection to history. For many, the idea that a simple penny could be worth millions might seem absurd. Yet those who live in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, know that value is not just about metal. It is about story, scarcity, and condition. And when a coin like the 1953 wheat penny exists in what collectors call pristine to impossible condition, and also has an unusual minting trait that makes it unique, its worth rises far beyond what most people can conceive. It's in these rare intersections, condition, scarcity, and uniqueness, that legends are born. A coin that survived untouched since 1953 is already rare. A coin that also carries a significant minting anomaly is even rarer. But a coin with both, plus a compelling history of survival, suddenly becomes priceless in the eyes of the most dedicated collectors. The bidding for such a coin can become intense, emotional, and ultimately transformational for whoever holds it. Just imagine a coin like this quietly sitting in a relative's old box of keepsakes, overlooked for decades because it looked like just another penny. Then imagine the shock when it is properly examined, authenticated, and revealed to be one of the rarest survivors of its era. This is not fantasy. This is the kind of story that has happened more than once. And when it does, lives change, fortunes shift, and history gets rewritten in the most personal way imaginable. But there is a shadow side to this story too. Many of the rarest coins have been lost forever because someone cleaned them, polished them, or spent them in error. A tiny scratch or improper cleaning can erase what makes a coin rare. The 1953 Wheat Penny does not forgive mistakes. Its potential is fragile, and understanding its hidden power means understanding how easy it is to destroy that power through ignorance. This is why anyone who thinks they might have a rare 1953 Wheat Penny should be cautious, thoughtful, and deliberate. Don't rush to spend it. Don't casually clean it. Don't sell it quickly for a modest sum. Take time to investigate, consult experts, and ensure that the coin story is completely understood. A lifetime of possibility can hang in the balance of a single decision. This penny has the power to change destinies, to rewrite futures, to turn ordinary people into holders of extraordinary wealth. There is a kind of magic in coins that survive history with minimal wear. They are whispers from a time long gone, encapsulated in metal. The 1953 Wheat Penny holds that magic in its design. The proud wheat ears on the reverse, the familiar face of Lincoln on the front, all symbols of endurance. When such a coin exists in exceptional condition with rarity traits, its value isn't just monetary, it becomes emotional, historical, and almost spiritual. And so it becomes clear that owning one of these rare coins isn't just about wealth, it's about stewardship. It is about recognizing that something tiny and unassuming can carry enormous consequence. It is about understanding that value sometimes hides in silence, waiting for someone to see it, respect it, and carry it forward. A rare 1953 Wheat Penny is more than a coin, it's a legacy. In the end, the story of the most valuable 1953 Wheat Penny is not just about dollars and cents. It is about the power of history, the thrill of discovery, and the incredible journey of something ordinary becoming extraordinary. If you have one in your hand, treat it with reverence. Because in the right condition, with the right traits, it is not just a coin, it is a dream waiting to come true, a key to unimaginable wealth, and a reminder that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the greatest fortune. Fourth up. The 1955 Wheat Penny is one of those ordinary pieces of metal that hides an extraordinary secret, a secret that can turn a simple cent into a story of unimaginable wealth and lifelong wonder. To most people, it is a small coin with Lincoln's familiar face pressed into one side and the grain-filled wheat ears on the other, something that once jingled in pockets and purses. But in the world of rare coins, the story of the 1955 Wheat Penny is far greater than its humble appearance suggests. It is a story of chance, survival, and the possibility that one tiny piece of copper could contain the power to change a life forever. In everyday use during the mid-20th century, pennies were everywhere. They bought gum, paid for bus fares, and disappeared into jars and drawers. The 1955 Wheat Penny was part of that flow. But coins, like people, don't all follow the same journey. Some find their way into heavy circulation, beaten down by decades of handling. Others get tucked away, forgotten and protected, almost by accident. It is within these untouched survivors that rare magic can dwell. When a 1955 Wheat Penny survives with its original detail, untouched luster, and perfect symmetry, it crosses from mundane to mystical in the eyes of collectors. Imagine discovering, almost by accident, one of these rare survivors. A coin that escaped the relentless friction of wallets, pockets, and time. A coin whose details remain so razor-sharp that every letter and every wheat stalk seems poised to leap from the surface. These coins are so rare that even seasoned collectors describe them with reverence, not numbers. Their stories are not about cents or dollars, but about survival against all odds. And when condition meets rarity, value grows not incrementally, but astronomically. What makes a 1955 Wheat Penny truly unforgettable is when it bears a unique characteristic, something born from the unpredictability of the minting process itself. Coins are made in machines of incredible force and precision, yet errors can happen. Doubles, misalignments, striking irregularities that occur when dies shift or misfeed. Most coins with minor mistakes are noticed by few, dismissed by many. But the rare ones, the ones with significant and visually dramatic errors, capture the imagination. These are the coins that whisper secrets of the mint floor, lingering with traces of chaos in their creation. When you combine this kind of striking irregularity with perfect condition, you step into a realm that defies ordinary valuation. A flawless 1955 wheat penny with a recognized mint error can become something far more valuable than everyone else's common examples. When collectors spot a coin like this, they don't simply see copper and metal, they see history, they see rarity, they see the thrill of possession. They see something unique in the world, something that cannot be replicated. In the rarefied atmosphere of high-end collecting, emotions run deep. People who chase perfect coins do so with a passion that transcends financial logic. They bid not just with money, but with dreams. And when several determined collectors focus on the same rare coin, the bidding can explode into figures that boggle the mind. What once cost a penny becomes a treasure that could, in certain extraordinary cases, be worth figures in the millions. These aren't fantasies, they're the result of scarcity, demand, and the human desire to possess something truly rare. Stories abound in coin collecting of people who almost threw away their fortune, unaware of what they held. A 1955 wheat penny may have sat at the bottom of an old purse or tucked into a childhood keepsake book before someone finally recognized it for what it might be. Often, those who first find these treasures don't immediately understand their potential. That's why so many collectors urge patience, caution, and professional evaluation. Because rushing to spend or sell without proper knowledge can destroy what might be an extraordinary opportunity. The world of coin valuation is not static. What might look ordinary under casual inspection can reveal itself as spectacular under magnification and expert study. When a 1955 wheat penny is sent to professional graders and authenticators, every tiny detail is examined: the sheen of its surfaces, the sharpness of its relief, even microscopic residue from its earliest days. If a coin emerges with high marks and unique traits, it enters a silent, competitive world where serious collectors and investors make offers that aren't often publicized but are deeply impressive. In this arena, value is not simply a number, it is prestige. Owning one of the rarest coins of its era confers a kind of silent acknowledgement among the most serious collectors. These coins become the centerpiece of private collections, vaults, and legacy holdings. They are the holy grails that dominate auction rooms without shouting, the coins that make headlines because their story is as powerful as their worth. A 1955 wheat penny with extraordinary condition and recognized rarity can become iconic in this world. Imagine for a moment waking up to realize that a coin in your possession, something you never thought twice about, could redefine your future. That small copper disc, once spent on trivial purchases, could be worth more than your wildest dreams. A coin with life-changing potential doesn't simply transfer wealth, it reshapes identity, alters opportunity, and invites wonder. That is the kind of power contained within the rarest examples of the 1955 wheat penny. But this isn't a tale of easy wealth or casual fortune. The journey from ordinary to extraordinary is narrow and steep. Many pennies from 1955 are worn, damaged, or walked into oblivion. Only a handful remain in the kind of condition that transforms them into treasures. And even among that handful, only a tiny fraction carry the distinctive traits that make them prized beyond imagination. The stars have to align: survival, condition, unique mint characteristic, and recognition by the most serious evaluators. Some collectors describe the thrill of discovering a rare penny as a kind of awe, a moment that feels almost spiritual. This isn't just about cents and dollars. It's about connecting with a tiny piece of human history that has endured through time. The wheat ears symbolize growth and sustenance, and Lincoln's profile represents leadership and legacy. When a coin like this ascends into the realm of the rare and beautiful, it carries with it the weight of history and the desire of those chasing perfection. So if you ever find a 1955 wheat penny that looks different, sharper, cleaner, untouched by the wear that marks ordinary circulation, pause. Don't dismiss it, don't spend it, don't toss it into a jar where history goes to sleep. Treat it with care. Investigate it, research it, seek professional insight. In the right hands, with the right condition and unique characteristics, it could be more than a penny. It could be a legacy, a story, and an unexpected gateway to unimaginable fortune. In the end, the real magic of the 1955 wheat penny lies not just in its potential monetary value, but in what it represents: the mystery of survival, the thrill of discovery, and the possibility that something small and seemingly insignificant could hold the key to a life-changing moment. When the rarest examples of this coin surface in perfect form with unique traits, they remind the world that history is full of hidden treasures, waiting quietly for the right eyes to see them, the right minds to understand them, and the right hearts to appreciate them. Fifth up. The 1944 wheat penny is more than a tiny piece of copper. It is a time capsule from one of the most extraordinary chapters of American history. When you hold one of these coins, you are holding something that was once part of everyday life during the final years of World War II. Imagine the hands that passed it on before yours, the places it traveled, the stories it witnessed. But here's the thing: while most 1944 pennies were ordinary and spent without thought, a very rare few escaped time itself and became living legends. Coins so rare and exceptional that they can be worth millions of dollars and literally change someone's life overnight. In 1944, the United States was at war. Everything precious was being focused on the fight overseas, and materials were rationed. Pennies were still being struck and used, but today they are reminders of resilience, frugality, and survival. Most of these coins were carried in pockets, dropped on counters, scratched by keys, faded by decades of circulation. But some were lost, forgotten, hidden, or buried, surviving decades of wear and tear virtually untouched. These survivors are the foundation of the astonishing value that certain 1944 wheat pennies can command today. To an untrained eye, a wheat penny might seem insignificant, just a cent, just a date. But collectors know that history lives in metal. They know that a coin's value is not just in its face value, but in its story, its condition, and its rarity. When a 1944 wheat penny still shows crisp, clear details, when Lincoln's face looks freshly impressed and the grains of wheat on the reverse still have life, that penny steps out of the everyday world and becomes something extraordinary. It becomes an artifact. But even among these survivors, a rare few carry something almost mystical, a characteristic or imperfection that makes them singular, one of a kind. Maybe it was struck in a way that created a doubling effect, or maybe the metal received an unusual finish because of a tiny anomaly in the minting press. These mistakes, which most people would overlook, are gold to collectors. They are proof that what we think of as simple coins can contain the fingerprints of chance, chaos, and history itself. When an expert holds a coin like this under magnification, it is like watching a detective unravel a secret. Every ridge, every gleam, every minute detail becomes part of its identity. And when this kind of expert recognition meets exceptional preservation, that is when the magic happens. When an ordinary penny transcends its humble origins and enters a world of extraordinary value. These are the coins that make headlines when they go to auction because their worth is measured not in cents but in stories and rarity. There have been whispered tales in the coin world of 1944 wheat pennies emerging from dusty boxes in attics or old cigar jars in basements, suddenly revealed to be virtually perfect survivors with remarkable traits. People who thought they had nothing of value were stunned to discover what they really had. The emotional impact of such a revelation is almost impossible to put into words. It is the shock of a lifetime, the sudden shift from ordinary to extraordinary, the realization that something you have held, forgotten, or overlooked could contain unimaginable wealth. And let's be clear, we are not talking about small sums. We are talking about collectors paying figures that sound unreal to most people. Millions of dollars for a single coin, a piece of metal no bigger than your fingertip. That is the kind of power these rare 1944 wheat pennies can have in the modern market when they possess both outstanding condition and unique characteristics. Wealth like this doesn't come by chance, it comes by rarity, history, and the magnetism of the unique. The emotional connection collectors feel is not just about money, it is about possessing something that almost no one else has ever seen. It is about owning a piece of the past that survived when so many others did not. And that desire, that emotional pull, is what fuels competitive bidding and sky-high valuations. People will pay astonishing sums for the privilege of owning a coin that seems almost alive, that seems to carry within it the echoes of time. But there is a cautionary side to this story. So many potential treasures have been lost because someone didn't know what they had. They cleaned the coin, polished it, spent it, or dismissed it as worthless. The value of these rare finds is in their untouched condition. Cleaned or damaged coins, even if old, lose most of their value. That is why professionals always warn against touching the surface of an old coin with bare fingers or trying to make it shine. In the realm of rare coins, preservation is power. The most valuable 1944 wheat pennies are not just old. They are survivors of history that have retained a brilliance and detail that seem impossible for their age. They show us how time, circumstance, and chance can combine to create something breathtaking. We live in a world where ordinary objects can contain extraordinary value, and recognizing that possibility is what separates collectors from everyone else. One moment of recognition can transform a dusty coin into a treasure beyond imagination. Stories like these are why so many people are drawn to coin collecting, not just as a hobby, but as a journey into the mysteries of time itself. Coins like the rarest 1944 wheat pennies are reminders that history is not abstract. It lives in everyday objects, waiting to be noticed. And when such a coin finally reveals itself to a knowledgeable eye, its worth can ripple through the market like a shockwave. If you ever find yourself holding a 1944 wheat penny that seems sharper, cleaner, brighter, or somehow different from the others, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Don't spend it, don't let it slip into the oblivion of common change. Treat it with respect. Investigate it. Seek expert eyes who know how to examine every nuance. Because you might be holding something that can change your life, that can turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, and that can transform a humble penny into a story of fortune and wonder. In the end, the magic of the 1944 wheat penny lies not just in the metal it is made of, but in the history it carries, the survival it represents, and the possibility that lies hidden in plain sight. These coins remind us that great value often hides in humble forms, waiting for someone with curiosity, respect, and the patience to look closely. And when the rarest examples, in perfect condition and with unique traits, finally surface, they don't just hold value, they hold power. The power to astonish. The power to transform. The power to change a life, overnight. So if you find yourself holding a 1944 wheat penny that seems extraordinary, treat it not as a penny but as a possibility, a tiny beacon of history and fortune that might just unlock a future beyond your wildest dreams. Because in the world of rare coins, the smallest object can sometimes carry the greatest destiny.